We formed a quorum and it's also the appointed time for our meeting. May I call the meeting to order? Since we're going to use the request to speak system, so please keep to your seats once you are seated. So please invite the administration to join us now. The topic for discussion is land use of waterfront sites by the Victoria Harbour and the feasibility of developing waterfront sites into tourism attractions alongside the adjoining areas. Members who wish to speak, please press the request to speak button. Let us welcome the following representatives from the administration. I understand that the administration has prepared our PowerPoint presentation. So can I give the floor to the Permanent Secretary, please? The speaker's mic is not on. The mic is not on. Yes, we would like to brief members on the land use of waterfront sites by the Victoria Harbour and how we can develop the adjoining areas in order to have tourism attractions. So as pointed out in the paper, on the two sides of the Victoria Harbour, we have three types of land uses. And the main one is open spaces and sightseeing attractions. Second, uses for economic activities to support our port operation, and there are also public harbour working areas. The third type is public utilities such as waterworks and sewage works at the waterfront. Thanks to the discussions in this subcommittee, and we fully agree to the views expressed by members. Public enjoyment of our waterfront, as well as economic users of our waterfront, may not always be mutually exclusive. In fact, different types of facilities can coexist, and it's also something we should promote. In the paper, we have got a number of suggestions. We'd like to take this opportunity to have the views of members. In the past few years, in harbourfront development, our principle has been to open up and improve connectivity first before we improve the facilities. In future, we'll focus on enhancing the waterfront sites. We have got a few suggestions in the paper. The first is on the two sides of the Victoria Harbour, we should not just have facilities or recreational facilities managed by the government alone. We should introduce market forces to make our waterfront more vibrant. Now, for instance, at the Central Harbourfront event space, as well as the Hong Kong Observation Wheel there near the pier, we are using private operators to manage these places. We are thinking of extending the operation period of private contractors so that they have the incentive to provide better facilities to improve visitors' experience. So the first idea is to make good use of market forces. The second thinking is to use the Victoria Harbour and also sites on the two sides for hosting international major events, whether it be competitions or concerts. They can be excellent opportunities to sell Hong Kong, and we can use the Victoria Harbour as a stage for such events. So we will collaborate with other bureaus and introduce major events to be held at the Victoria Harbour. When it comes to the content, we very much want to identify sites on the two sides of the harbour so that we can have a large scale of retail, dining and entertainment facilities to welcome visitors to the Harbourfront. Visitors can also enjoy the Harbourfront with the supporting facilities. We've identified two sites. One is in Wan Chai and the other is in Hong Kong. We are conducting a feasibility study to see how we can utilize the site on the top side of the exhibition center station in Wan Chai and also the Hong Kong station and the railway facility sites in the vicinity. We want to provide welcoming facilities there for members and for sites near the harbourfront, such as Kai Tak and Kwun Tong typhoon shelters. Again, we like to use the water body there for water sports activities and recreational activities. We are happy to take views from members. I will give the floor to Leonie, our Commissioner for Harbourfront, to give you a more detailed presentation. Yes, please, Ms. Leonie Lee. Thank you. I will use a PowerPoint presentation to give members examples and to bring out the salient points in the paper. First, the use of harbourfront sites. Now we have sightseeing attractions and open spaces. For instance, in Tsuen Wan Enhancement Phase 1, we provide open space at the waterfront, and at the Wan Chai North recreational and event areas, we have a multi-purpose space for local visitors and tourists. We would like to provide more open space there. Our plan is by 2028 we have a 34-kilometer long waterfront promenade with 39 hectares of space adjoining the promenades. And the second type of use are economic activities mainly related to our port operation. For instance, the Kwai Tsing container terminals, a number of public cargo working areas, PCWAs, as well as typhoon shelters and shipyards. They are a big support to our port industries and also cargo handling activities. We've also got the Yau Ma Tei PCWA works is being carried out there, hopefully without jeopardizing the operation of the PCWA. At the boundary, there can be a pedestrian link linking up the WKCD and the Tai Kwok Choi waterfront. So without compromising the use of our waterfront sites for economic activities, we want to open up these places for the public. And the third type is public utilities, with over 20 such facilities on the two sides of the harbour, covering wholesale food and fish markets, waterworks and drainage facilities, as well as piers. These public facilities require marine frontage for operation. Again, we will try to set back these facilities to open up the waterfront areas for public use. We have the To Kwa Wan primary or preliminary treatment works there as an example. With the assistance of the Drainage Services Department, we have vacated the site occupied by the plant in the past, and the works is almost completed. We have installed lighting and also arts installation. It will be open to the public very soon. On the top right-hand corner, we have the Kwun Tong sewage pumping station enhancement works. We are going to provide a landscaped deck on the pumping station. This is under the principle of multiple use for a single site. It will also link up with the waterfront promenade nearby. So again, we want to make more frequent use of these sites without affecting their proper uses. The second part of the paper is how the waterfront sites together with the adjoining areas can be developed into tourist attractions. We have considered various options. We like to leverage market forces in building up a vibrant waterfront. In Wan Chai and in Sha Tin, in Central, we have the observation wheel, and they are let to a private contractor on short-term tenancies. Last week, we had a Wan Chai waterfront Harbourfront event space entrusted to a private contractor for operation. They can use their flexibility, creativity, and efficiency to introduce interesting events that can benefit our tourism industry. The peers talked about whether we can extend the term of operation in approving new contracts. We will pay particular attention to the proposals to see whether the events are of a diversity and are attractive to tourists. That can give extra scores to their proposals in our tendering exercise. Take Area 3 of the Central Waterfront areas example. We have awarded a site to a private contractor. It is going to build 3 buildings there with a platform at the rooftop, providing open space. We expect that it's going to be attractive to both local and overseas visitors because they can enjoy the excellent view of Central and the harbour there. And also, we can use the Victoria Harbour for staging cultural and entertainment events. The Hong Kong Tourism Board has held the Harbour Chill Carnival in July and August this year. Many tourists and visitors were attracted to the events. And then in early November, we also have the Wine and Dine Festival there. Again, there was a big turnout. At the Central Harbourfront event space, we have major events such as the S20 Hong Kong Songkran Music Festival held for the first time in Hong Kong, and also the World Rally Cross Championship. Again, these events attracted many spectators and participants. We also want to use our water bodies. We have major sports events. Newly introduced to Hong Kong, for instance, in June, we had the Dragon Boat tournament, which has been a regular event previously, and we've also got the Sail Round the Island event, and there was the Double Duck exhibition, very much welcomed by local and overseas visitors. To tie in with the Night Vibes Hong Kong, at Wan Chai and Kennedy Town waterfronts, we held some events there. We will review how we can improve such events held at the waterfront.
And then we want to develop certain waterfront areas. Now we've specified certain points. For example, in Wan Chai North, above the HKCEC, this is a core area for the nearby places, and then there's a pier to supplement. So even for pedestrians or other people, this is quite convenient. And this can be a new commercial and a tourist spot. Now you can see that the circle here is a pier, and it's just outside the HKCEC for the ocean-going vessels, and we are aiming to achieve certain synergy to boost tourism. Now, because in this particular area, we want to include catering events as well, and hopefully by 2025 this can be completed. And we'll give you more details later on. Now, as suggested in the 2023 policy address, we have invited the MTRC to do a preliminary study to develop the Hong Ham Station and the adjoining places. Now, this will be, we're talking about the south of the Hong Kong Coliseum with an area of 5 hectares, and we're thinking about introducing dining and leisure amenities to activate the harbourfront. And during this period, when we are making improvements, maybe as a short-term exercise, we can open up the waterfront area for the public. But obviously, we have to consider whether the timing is correct and whether there's any planning details will permit. So this is something we are going to investigate. Now, we understand that the public has aspiration for a diversified and harmonious harbourfront. So we want to help to achieve that, and we are exploring the provision of F&B facilities. Now, since last year, we provided a restaurant at the Water Sports and Recreation Precinct in Wan Chai, and we are continuing to identify suitable venues to introduce, for example, vending machines, selling light snacks and drinks, and we're just hoping to enrich people's experience. Now, for newer developments, we've introduced food and beverage elements, and this will include the boardwalk, and as well as the public open space at the East Coast Park Precinct North Point, and also phase 2 of the Chin Wan waterfront enhancement. So in all these places there will be provision of restaurants, and hopefully can enhance visitors' experience. Now, coming back to the boardwalk, now because we're talking about a unique location with marine frontage, now we want to enrich visitors' experience to enjoy a sort of panoramic view of the Victoria Harbour. So we are thinking about open space for active and passive activities, and to be completed by 2025, hopefully. And this will be run by the private sector. And as I said earlier, we want to engage market forces. And we hope they will come up with innovative ideas, and to at the same time enhance the F&B experience. Now, again, we want to make use of water bodies and to enhance water-land interfaces. Now, if we can achieve that, this will unleash their potential for being tourist attractions. So, for example, we are thinking about the Kuntong Typhoon Shelter and the adjoining Kai-Tak Approach Channel, and we would like to introduce water sports and recreational activities. Now, the EKEO, East Kowloon Energizing Office, is working with the Marine Department to prepare guidelines to promote the safety of using KTTS as a typhoon shelter. And we have short-term tenancies for 3 sites, and we are asking the Hong Kong Water Sports Council and the Kuntong Sports Promotion Association and the Hong Kong Canoe Union to promote these events. And in fact, we have done quite a bit of this already, and we've got the help from the Hong Kong China Rowing Association, and we've got the first phase of the Jockey Club Row for Future scheme. Now, apart from this Kuntong and Kai-Tak area, we are also looking at waterside facilities being opened. For example, for the Kai-Tak area, we have the approach channel, and then there will be a Kai-Tak Sports Park and a Kai-Tak Base Camp, and together the area, we are talking about 15,000 square meters. Now also, for Kowloon East, we have an area suitable for a yacht club that would be at the Yau Tong Bay. And you know that Yau Tong Bay is basically in private landlords, and the owners will have to provide a public waterfront promenade under the outline zoning plan. Now we are going to amend the zoning of Yau Tong Bay to allow the landowner of the designated land lot to provide marina-related landside facilities. Now, we are thinking that this is a good way to use the water bodies, and, well, obviously we have to overcome a number of problems, including the need to identify a suitable government site to provide facilities associated with the marina. And because of this, it's necessary to study the issue with the relevant departments before moving forward. Now, finally, this is outside the Victoria Harbour, but it's something ongoing, which is the Aberdeen Typhoon Shelter. And you have the waterfront on both sides. So this is an important focus area of the Invigorating Island South initiative. And you would see that some have been done rather quickly, and for example the signposts and so on, and also opening up certain grass land and to benefit the public, and also to expand the boardwalk and also certain landing facilities. Now, apart from that, we are going to work with government departments to revitalize the Aberdeen wholesale fish market, as well as to improve the fish marketing organization, but at the same time incorporating F&B elements. And we are consulting the stakeholders, and hopefully the feasibility study can be completed by 2024. And again, the IISO is taking the initiative together with the civil engineering development to do a consultancy study to strengthen the Hong Kong Island South area, and to see how we can open up eastern breakwaters for public enjoyment, because we understand these are welcomed by the public, and we understand that this will really be an attraction. Now, in other words, the harbourfront venues provide not only space for government departments and organizations to make new attempts, but also provide for the need of the public and tourists, and to provide something which has a certain special characteristics. Okay, so that's all from me. Thank you. Now, Q&A time, we have 7 members, beginning with Mr. Tan Ka Piu, Chen Hock Pong, Andrew Lam, Vincent Cheng, Doreen Kong, Edward Leung, and Starry Lee. 5 minutes, please. Mr. Tang Ka-pil, thank you, the Development Bureau and your colleagues, and the EKEO office colleagues, and you are doing very good work for the public, including the yacht in the Yau Tong Bay, the yacht club, and this can generate quite a bit of support. Now, but let me just elaborate on the yacht club. Now, we are talking about Yau Tong Bay, and since this is going to become a residential area, a luxurious place, and this is a 7-meter promenade. Now, is it possible to allow 200 yachts to be moored there? Now, this will help the yacht owners and also to allow the public to do more water activities. Now, you have, let's say, a breakwater 100 to 200 meters long. Now, this will allow the public to go actually into the sea or very close to the center. And this can upgrade this particular area of Hong Kong. Now, we thank the government for presenting a very clear paper. Now, for the East Kowloon facilities, now, for water activities, now, when I was an undergrad, I also did rowing. So, now, for the old runway and the water body surrounding the runway, now, the planning may not be the same as the Tuen Mun Nullah, but it's also a very long and straight strip of water, very suitable for water activities. Now, how do we advance this? Now, obviously, we have to examine more. But if you're talking about yacht or other boats and so on, now, how are we going to use them effectively? Now, we want to engage the private sector to organize competitions or certain events. Now, this is obviously important, and it's also my wish as well. The East Kowloon CBD can have a dragon boat festival. Now, this is my wish. Now, but talking about dragon boats, now in the past, we had dragon boats almost everywhere, but in 2020, the Tai Po District Board cancelled their very famous dragon boat race. Now, because in 2019 we had well, certain people well, acting against this, and this is something I cannot really understand. Now, I want to urge the public to vote to really build up Hong Kong and to allow people in the district boards to really do their work, to do activities that are welcome by the public, including the Kwun Tong Dragon Boat Festival, and I hope the Kwun Tong DB as well as the Kowloon City DB can organize a Dragon Boat Festival. So this is roughly my view. Now, for questions, now it says in the paper that you're going to use market forces. Now, you know that for Kowloon East under the flyover, now when you do retendering, are you going to do that with a market force behind so that there is a market benefit? And I'd like to hear from your views. Thank you.
P.S. Thank you very much, Mr. Tang, for your views. I'll talk about the flyover sites. At Kowloon East, we identify the contractor by means of tendering. When the time is up for another tendering exercise, we can take into account the view expressed by Mr. Tang. So apart from NGOs, we can consider inviting the private sector to take part in the tendering exercise. Yes, that can be considered. Mr. Tang mentioned the proposed yacht club at Yau Tong Bay. I'd like to say that we need a feasibility study. As mentioned by the Commissioner, we have to have club facilities on the land side. These are basic facilities for a marina. So this is one of the things we have to study. And secondly, we have to amend the Harbour Protection Ordinance to allow us to build facilities for public enjoyment covering brick waves within the Victoria Harbour. When it comes to how we can invite the private sector to take part, now we have to consider the positioning as well. A yacht club can be for expensive pleasure boats, but we want it to be more diversified. Some of the vessels may just be yachts instead of pleasure boats or pleasure vessels. Hopefully, people from all walks of life can benefit from this facility. Mr. Chen confirm. The Development Bureau has done a lot to improve our waterfront. For instance, in Wan Chai North, we have a promenade, and the place is quite nice. Indeed, the Bureau has done a lot in improving the areas on Hong Kong Island, but there are still sites at Kennedy Town and in our South District requiring further improvements. But we are quite confident that the Bureau can do it. All right, we have the hardware, but the software aspect is most important. Why do I say so? For the central waterfront, nighttime or daytime when there are no activities going on is very quiet. It's a waste of public valuable resource. Of course, we have seen more major events being held there, which we welcome. Apart from major events, can we have smaller scale regular events to be held there, so that our waterfront will not just be reserved for mega events? We can have smaller scale activities such as kiosks selling snacks and light refreshments, so long as they do not create any nuisance to the public. Then such activities can take place in some areas of the central waterfront. We can have busking and stores and fairs there. The Development Bureau is very flexible if the private sector is asked to do it. But for the LCSD, it's not so flexible. Most venues are being managed by LCSD. They do not allow people to walk dogs, to sell things, provide refreshments there. If we do not resolve this problem, that will be a big hindrance for members of the public to enjoy the waterfront. This is an important point. In particular, we have been thinking about fairs and bazaars being held at our waterfront. The problem is, as soon as you want to hold public activities or commercial events there, LCSD will charge admission or even rental. We used to have food trucks, but the investment was over $1 million. I think the department can relax the rules a bit so long as the operation is safe. We have seen a variety of such activities in other countries. So we have the hardware ready. It's just that we don't have enough vibrancy. So do relax the rules a little bit, as said by the PS. Allow market forces to operate. And gradually, we can really vitalize or revitalize our harbourfront. PS. Thank you for your suggestion, Mr. Chen. We are thinking of identifying suitable sites at the waterfront to provide simple F&B. I can defer to the Commissioner for details. You talked about charging the operators. I think this can be overcome. For instance, when we had night vibes in Wan Chai, the stores were doing business. They were doing business on government land. So this should not be a major problem. Mr. Chen is of the view that LCSD is managing many of the harbourfront sites. In fact, we work together. My impression is that the department is relaxing the rules. Of course, there is room for relaxing the rules at a faster pace. It's true that many harbourfront sites are being managed by LCSD. If they can relax the rules, then we have more room for further development. P.S. You once discussed whether you can have a waterfront authority to take over the management of our harbourfront sites. Is there any progress? Please stick to one language. At this point, we have not pursued the suggestion you mentioned just now, that is to the setting up of a harbourfront authority to manage all harbourfront sites, because we are of the view that the current mechanism is effective. Although there is room for improvement, but if we set up another authority to manage our harbourfront, we need the enabling legislation, we need more resources that may actually delay our efforts to improve our waterfront. The current arrangement is to allow different departments within the government, including the Development Bureau and also the Commissioner, and also departments responsible for managing facilities at the harbourfront. It may be better that way in terms of coordination. Commissioner, food trucks. We have reviewed the implementation of food trucks. I think people want to have snacks and drinks in patronizing food trucks. A quick fix is to put in place vending machines, not selling the ordinary cartons of drink. Rather, there can be a variety of snacks such as cotton candy, ice cream, fresh orange juice, specialties, to put in place more interesting snacks and drinks as a quick fix. When it comes to the long-term arrangement, we'll try this out first. In the long run, we're going to have retail, dining, and entertainment facilities to provide a variety of experience. Mr. Andrew Lam. Members like to say that Hong Kong Island is much better than Kowloon. I think we have to fight for the welfare of Kowloon as well. We have got the WKCD, and this time Hong Ham is included. I think the government has made a breakthrough. From the Hoi Sun Park in To Kwa Wan to Kwun Tong is a pleasant stretch. I will not repeat what Mr. Chen Ka-piu said with regard to the Yau Tong Bay. I'd like to know the progress. I'm not talking about the concept itself, but how you are going to implement a planning intention that has been in place for a quarter of a century. So we have the concept, but what about implementation? You want to introduce market forces, but you have to ensure that market forces can operate. If this has failed for the past 2 decades, do we still leave the concept to fate? In particular, I'm concerned about the industrial area of Yau Tong Bay, where we have the concrete or cement factory as well. You have the planning intention in the outline zoning plan. You have reserved 15 kilometers of waterfront promenade. That is excellent. The question is how. When you visit Subcommittee of Lei Yue Mun, it is already a tourism attraction. But further on to the quarry, there is a Subcommittee quarry there with a long history, but you have not linked up Lei Yue Mun with the quarry there. You can take a ferry from Sai Wan Ho to Subcommittee of Lei Yue Mun. Services are quite frequent, but then the problem is the landing point is not where you have the seafood restaurants in Lei Yue Mun. You have to walk a bit, and you are exposed to the elements before you can reach the seafood restaurants in Lei Yue Mun. So these are what we have to resolve in the short, medium, and long term. If you want to introduce market forces for developing the industrial area of Yau Tong, do you have any plans? Because the site may be left idle there for a long time to come. Can you be more aggressive so that you can promote the early development of the waterfront promenade there? And can you have some short-term measures to ensure that we can utilize the resources of Subcommittee in Lei Yue Mun so that the government itself can do it without relying on market forces? P.S. I thank Mr. Lam for his views. First, I will give a short response before I defer to the Commissioner to talk about Lei Yue Mun. First is the Yau Tong Bay. Mr. Lam was very correct. We have reserved on our OZP for the construction of a 15 meters wide waterfront promenade in front of a private development. I don't know whether you have noticed from the media that lease modification has been done for that site. So land premium has been paid, and the site can be developed into a residential development. When the site is being developed, a waterfront promenade has to be provided as well. We do the same for Kai Tak, and this is a model we consider successful. So much so for the Yau Tong Bay. Mr. Lam also mentioned the connection from Yau Tong Bay to the east, reaching Lei Yue Mun. When we work on Area 132, 133 of Zhang Guan O, we have considered how people can walk along footpaths to be provided along the hills there to reach Lei Yue Mun. If it is found to be feasible, then the government is going to take on this project. And for Area 132, 137 of Zhang Guan O, we will develop this hiking trail as well. It's going to be an excellent project along the hills from Zhang Guan O South to the waterfront, and it can stretch all the way to Clearwater Bay along Area 137. And I'll defer to the Commissioner to talk about Lei Yue Mun.
Hi.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Lam, for your question. Now, on the Lei Yue Mun waterfront improvement plans, now the tourism commission or office is to make it more accessible, to improve the attraction. Now, the works consist of 2 parts. Now, phase 1 includes a new observation deck and to improve the recreation facilities. And this was completed earlier this year and open to the public. Now, phase 2 has to do with landing sites, making it easier. And then also to work on the breakwater and to again improve the observation deck, and this will be completed in phases next year. Now for the Yau Tong industrial area, maybe I'll just follow this up later on and or defer to the Permanent Secretary. Mr. Vincent Cheng, please. Yeah. I think the work just mentioned is worth pursuing. Now, in the past year, I'd like to thank the administration for opening up certain recreation and arts events. And also you have the Cross Harbour swimming race and then the other events. They are all very successful. And also the fashion brand name promotion, again very successful. So this is something Hong Kong is famous for. Now I've talked to athletes who have taken part in these competitions in the Victoria Harbour. They thought this is impossible. For example, the triathlon event, and they can swim in the harbour. This is very much appreciated. Yes, we know the government is opening up and freeing up facilities and so on, and this is certainly in the right direction. Now, we hope the government departments, now, sometimes there are red tapes that people have to go through and waiting for your permit, but sometimes this can take longer than desirable. Now, for the Hong Kong development, now this is mentioned in the policy address, I understand, and there is space for such development. Now, I'd like to ask about that, as well as, now, what about the expanded area because of the cancellation of the Cross Harbour Tunnel charging base? Now, in the medium to long term, what is going to be done? And in the shorter term, can you open up the spaces ASAP? Otherwise, it will be wasted. So especially along the Tsim Sha Tsui area. And then for the foul smell of the seawater, especially in the Hong Kong area, can something be done? Otherwise, it would affect the attraction. And are there gadgets or facilities that you can use to improve the area? Now, on the West Kowloon cultural area, the WKCA, I've been there myself. Now, I hope you can speed things up. And also, if you go further inside, now I hope you can make improvement to facilitate those visiting the West Kowloon area. Now, finally, now, we actually support most of your activities, but remember the noise generated may cause an impact on the nearby residents. So can I remind the departments so that the situation will not deteriorate? Permanent Secretary. Now, for the Hong Kong waterfront area or the pier facility, now we are doing investigation there. It shouldn't take very long. We reckon by early next year we will have some views coming in. Now, but in the meantime, we're looking at places that can be opened up along the waterfront, because you're talking about a very nice piece of land, good location, good size, and a very malleable. Now, foul smell of seawater, yes, totally understand. Now, this is an ongoing thing. We have to go back to the Environment and Ecology Bureau to let the experts follow this up. From Yamate to Tai Kok Tsui and the public cargo working area. Now, by next year, we're going to Gazette, and by 2026, work can start. Oh, sorry, to be completed by 2026. Now, finally, about the noise impact. Yes, I again totally understand. If we are near the residents, we really have to be extra vigilant, and we will make sure we are communicating the event effectively to the public. WKCA is answered, but the foul smell of the seawater is not just the foul smell, because it affects the shore activities, and then there's a sewage area. For example, the cross harbor swimming cannot be done because it's too near the Tsim Sha Tsui East water body, which is not particularly clean. Now, so I hope to see some improvement there. Yeah, water quality is something we are all concerned about. The promenade is not the only thing, because we want the water quality to be good as well. Chair. Now let's see, in the coming meetings, we can discuss the purification of seawater, and to get some information to facilitate members' discussion. Doreen Kong, please. I'd like to say that in 2023, there's a book called Handbook of Waterfront Cities and Urbanism. It's a new book. Now, one of the chapters says that, or it analyzes the Hong Kong situation near the coast. Now, I suggest the administration to look at this book, because it does certain comparisons with other coastal cities. Now, one view is that, okay, we can construct or build a lot of things to show off, as it were, so people would feel wowed by this, but we lack the cultural and historical elements, and we lack public participation, as well as some sort of management systems. Now, we do have a suggestion earlier about a government body to oversee the whole harbour. I think that's a good suggestion. Now, a lot of facilities have been mentioned near the coast, but we lack a theme. Okay, we have a lot here and there scattered. Okay, it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's not good. We thank you for this. Now, but are all these facilities targeted for our Hong Kong public or for the tourists? And if it's for the tourists, are we doing enough promotion? Because there are two different groups of people. I have asked tourists, but it seems that they are rather ignorant about our coastal facilities. Now, so what is our target population? Now, the other point is a sort of a linkage from Central to Wan Chai. You don't expect a tourist to walk all the way to Wan Chai from Star Ferry in Central. Now, how do you do that? Okay, you ask them to take the MTR. Oh, but they would have to walk up and down from one station to another. But if you have a sort of a theme along Wan Chai, what about just looking at Hong Kong Island itself or Kowloon itself? to have some sort of a water taxi rather than asking tourists to take the MTR. Okay, finally, now about the Star Ferry. Now, all tourists to Hong Kong will take the Star Ferry and the East Tsim Sha Tsui facilities. Now, the hardware is excellent, but the problem has to do with the management. Or you have built an aircraft carrier, for example, but those managing it are managing it as a small boat. So this is wasting resources. Now, I'm there in the Star Ferry every time. Tourists are walking here and there. They are not doing anything. And some people are holding signboards and asking people to enter their private yachts. But there's strong smell of diesel and gas. But you allow these people to walk here and there. And those taking photos, they take up all the space. And nobody chased them away. Do they have a license from you? And what about the tourist coaches? Now, last Sunday, in near the Salisbury Road, there is double parking, and other cars or vehicles just cannot enter that area. Now, the waterfront activities are very good, but what about the management? Now, I called 999 on Sunday because I couldn't stand it any longer. It's not just one Sunday, but it's double parking every Sunday, and it's getting worse. So can this be followed up, please? Permanent Secretary. Now, thank you for your points. Can we have a clearer delineation of where we are, or are we trying to attract the Hong Kong public or tourists from elsewhere? Now, the way I look at it is, if we cannot attract the local people, then, well, forget about tourists. So initially, we target the local population, and if we are successful, then, as you say, with better promotion, we can attract more tourists. Second, on the linking up or accessibility, we will certainly relay your points to the Transport Department. Now, the water taxi point applies between Hong Kong and Kowloon, rather than your point about going just from or sticking to one side of the harbour. Now, on the Star Ferry, the various issues there, again, I noticed that, and again, we will liaise with the government departments. Now, the Star Ferry facilities tend to be rather old now, and I think there is room for improvement. Now, I am aware of suggestions from different angles, and well, hopefully later on I'll be able to share our views with you before too long. Yeah, on the linking issue and so on. What about some sort of a high island hopping scheme? Because we have both tourists and local people, and I believe they will appreciate all these linking or connection between different points. Some involve just walking on land. That's also a possibility. Yes. Edward Leung, please. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Starry Lee first. Now, on my wish is that both sides of the harbour can become an attraction for both the local population as well as tourists. But to be frank, okay, compared to Shanghai, we will actually go to the counterpart there in Shanghai. But we do have a very nice harbour, and I think there is still room for improvement. So let's try to make this our goal, and I'm sure this will boost tourism. And we need to come up with new tourist spots, new attractions. Now, both sides of the Victoria Harbour, I'm sure we can do better. Now, coming back to the paper, I support the sewage scheme outlined in paragraph 6, but this is not aggressive enough. Now, but what about the Kowloon City area connection? We do have that cement company there, which it's a difficult point, I know, but I will keep pressing the government departments so that you can make improvements.
Secondly, I'm sure the chair knows very well. He worked very hard together with us for building up the Kowloon waterfront, and that is connection with the town gas storage there. The Hong Kong Gas should be a responsible corporate. Perhaps we should discuss with the company to see whether the part of the Harbourfront can be opened up to the public. And thirdly, about Hoi Sam Park. Hoi Sam Park has got this rock feature in Kowloon City. Can you consider building a path there so that people can walk past the rock feature and then reach the waterfront? All right. I hope you can include these three in your progress reports. I'm going to chase you for a reply every time. And then there is also a part about development of Hong Ham. I welcome the development of the top side of Hong Ham Station and the rail facilities nearby. I hope you can release the space there. That will be another highlight for the waterfront promenade there. Hopefully you can start a study soon, and you can also engage the public in thinking how we can make this plan a good one. All right, thank you. Mr. Vincent Zhang mentioned the odor of Kowloon Bay. I think it still has to be resolved, and there are still midstream operations berthed at Hoi Sam Park. Yes, we need berthing spaces for the midstream vessels, but to develop the waterfront there, you need to find space for relocating or for berthing these vessels. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Sarili. You mentioned the Ting Chao cement plant and also the pier outside the town gas operations there, taking up part of our Hoi Sam Park and how we can further improve Hoi Sam Park. The cement plant is on a private site. It has operated there for a long time. If the protection of the harbour ordinance can be successfully amended with members' support, we can have a simpler mechanism to do some small-scale reclamation within the harbour area. Then we will consider the pier and also the rock feature at Hoi Sam Park to see whether we can have boardwalks installed to link up the waterfront there. We have to rely on amendment to the ordinance to remove some of the constraints. When it comes to Hong Kong Gas, we will discuss with the company. You mentioned the midstream vessels berthed off the Hoi Sam Park. Perhaps it is related to the roadworks of Kwun Tong Typhoon Shelter. Perhaps when the works is completed, there will be fewer vessels there, but I will check it out. Another point, now I share Ms. Darili's views. You refer to a few private sites. We have brought that issue to you for quite a number of times, and you keep telling us that you need to study the future development of the area. Are you saying that we have to go by an alternative means and then we cannot use that site. Perhaps we can have a paper from the administration on that point. Do not just talk about conducting a study. Now, if the current occupants are not cooperative and therefore you cannot proceed as we suggested, then at least we know. Is it possible? P.S. Yes, because the cement plant involves not just the pier, but 2 industrial buildings as well, because they are located right at the harbourfront. So the possibility is not high if we want the consent of the landlord. We should look to amendments to the protection of the harbour ordinance to resolve this problem. Rather, certainly we can provide more comprehensive paper for the next meeting. Yes, you should communicate with the landowner first. Since you talked about land titles and ownership, you have to think of a way out. Otherwise, there can be no connectivity for that part of the promenade. Mr. Edmund Leung, thank you. Yes, we're concerned about the connectivity of our waterfront promenade. We also want to attract more visitors. We have used our waterfront for staging concerts. That has proved to be a success. Now, we were discussing how come Ted Smith did not come to Hong Kong in Asia in her Asia tour. Now, it is because in Macau, the musician or the artist can use the venues free of charge, and therefore they have the concert there. And as a result, people from Hong Kong and also from the mainland were attracted to Macau, and so the concert was a success. In many international major events, Macau waived the rental of venues, so because these activities can bring economic benefits and boost tourism. So must we be so rigid? If such events can boost our international image, can help our tourism, can't we waive the rental as well to attract back to some of these large performances? Secondly, if we want night vibes and major events, we must ensure that we can hold events at night. Take WKC example. On Christmas Eve, on the 24th of December, an association would like to hold a countdown activity there. And it turns out that after 11 p.m., no commercial activity can be held at WKCD unless it is a government event. So only the government can hold night vibes. Otherwise, if you want to have an outdoor concert beyond 10:30 p.m. is impossible. So can you remove some of the restrictions so that at harbourfront locations far away from residential developments, you can allow nighttime concerts? Because if the answer is no under our current EPD legislation, then there is no way we can do it. For the case I mentioned, the organizer have been referred to the police, the EPD, and then WKCD to no avail. So we have to remove the restrictions. Let's discuss with the EPD to see whether we can remove some of the restrictions. First, so can we provide venues free of charge for international major activity? And secondly, can we relax the nighttime use of some outdoor venues, please? Thank you. The second question. WKCD is not a place with residential developments nearby. Using our experience of hosting night vibes in Wan Chai, sometimes we ended beyond 11 p.m. Now, Wan Chai, the location there is not close to sensitive receivers, and so noise was not a problem we had to overcome. Perhaps we can find out about the event to be hosted on Christmas Eve to see whether there is really a noise control issue. And then we will get back to Mr. Leung afterwards. As regards waiver of rentals, we can consider all possibilities. Must we charge rental for use of venues? Not necessarily, but whether a certain performance wants to host in Hong Kong has its considerations. For world-class artists, they may have to consider the size of the venue. They may want to have a venue that can host several thousands of spectators. In Macau, they have venues mainly indoors. In some artists would like to have outdoor venues with large capacity for the audience, and we will see whether we can have such venues in Hong Kong. Well, the artist has discussed with Hong Kong, and Macau has a free offer, and their hotel offered a 5-star service. There was carriage from the airport to the Macau, and exclusive use of lifts, etc. So they received a very great reception. Hopefully in future, when we have world-class artists coming to perform in Hong Kong, we can provide similar treatment so we can attract them to Hong Kong. Perhaps you can provide more information. So did the Macau SL government foot the bill, or was it by some organizations that, yes, I understand that a casino foot the bill. And when licenses are granted for casinos, they are required to hold activities at least once a year to boost the tourism, to stimulate consumption, and to provide entertainment. That is part of their licensing conditions. 2 members would like to speak for the second time, Mr. Andrew Lam and Mr. Rin Kong. Mr. Andrew Lam, one of your questions was not answered. Allow me to take up some more of your time. I just have one point to make. Members talked about incorporating development and tourism. And secondly, members asked whether we had enough cultural and historical sites in Hong Kong. I'd like to say how we can present the history of our harbourfront. So when we develop our harbourfront sites, can we include the historical aspect as well? And a member also mentioned the quarry in Char Kwong Ling. Have you considered utilizing this resource? After all, we have waterfront at Char Kwong Ling. Members mentioned Sai Kung Bay and also Le Yuen Mun. Can we have similar considerations? Or do we consider such areas as just open space? Shouldn't we consider the historical elements of a harbourfront site? Thank you. Whether we can have more presentation of the history and cultural aspect of a waterfront site. This is a good idea.
Now, very often we have to rely on reclaimed land. Now, in days past, the coastline was different. Now, right now, when we are doing coastal activities, we can outline the history of our coastline. So this is something we can consider. Second, now you talk about Cha Kwa Leng. Now, in that area, we do have different types of facilities along the coast. Now, in Kwun Tong, we have sewage treatment facilities to move back a little bit and then to provide a promenade. And then at the VTC, near the Cha Kwa Leng, they're going to have a new campus, and we're going to work with them to do a good planning along the seafront, to link up to the promenade as well as to have open space or event space. And then for Eastern Kowloon, we have certain sections already have a time frame, and others will have to wait a little bit. And we're going to develop that promenade altogether. Now, for the Cha Kwa Leng area, you can have some sort of a theater, and can you consider this a little bit more closely? Now, because we're trying to encourage tourism and also the local population, and we hope to provide something new. So do try to understand the situation, and I believe this will boost attraction. Chair, you're certainly correct. We can use the VTC development as an example. That is pretty close to Cha Kwa Leng, and that is a good opportunity. So we can display some of our history. Now, because along the coastline, we want to make the public more aware of the historical development. My apology for taking up some of your time. Well, first of all, let me just pass the time back to Mr. Andrew Lam. Yes, we need to have related activities. I'm sorry, this is Lee Chun Keung speaking. Now, the linking aspect is important. Sometimes people have the impression if you walk from one part of the Hong Kong island to another, then you have to go out to the center of the island in order to bypass the public cargo working area. Now, but can you not consider certain flyovers or pedestrian walkways that will straddle the PWCA or PCWA? Now, on the Hong Kong Island side, near the Shao Kei Wan temple, can you link that up to Hang Va village or to Chai Wan? Now, ideally, the whole of the Hong Kong Island North can be linked up conveniently. Now, on the harbour facilities or events, now some have to apply for licenses. in order to have shows on the streets, but the license is not easily applied. You have to go through various hurdles. Now, but along the seafront, along the promenade, maybe the pollution level can be loosened up a little bit. So can you issue license more easily to allow people to perform, or maybe change the activity once every 3 months, so people can enjoy these night vibes activities? Because otherwise people would say that you just repeat the same items. Can you introduce neon lights, attractions, or certain thematic presentations? Now, I've been to Hangzhou for the opening up of the Asian Games, and they made use of the Harbourfront to do lots of things. They have light shows, painting shows. So, well, what about we're doing something regular at 8 p.m. to have some sort of a symphony lights, or symphony of lights? Yes, thank you, Mr. Lee, for your suggestions. I think you're talking about the promenade going to the western public cargo working area. Now, in our Khao Yi Chao item, well, we have a landing area, landing steps there. And we are going to consider moving the PCWA, or in other words, to relocate the PCWA in order to have a proper promenade there. And the Khao Yi Chao team colleagues will be looking at this. Now, I'll ask or defer to Ms. Au to see how Shao Kei Wan can be linked up to the east, all the way to Hang Fa Chun. Now, this has to do with the corridor around the island. So I will defer to Ms. Au in a while. Now, your third point about the night vibe activities. Now, if this were to continue, we'll try to introduce more Hong Kong specific elements. Now, this is something we totally support. Well, rather than keep on repeating the same themes, we have to have innovation. Yes, so thank you very much, Mr. Lee. If we are going to have these activities again, we will certainly take on board your suggestions. Ms. Au, please. Yes, you are talking about the invigorating the island corridor to link up Shao Kei Wan all the way to Chai Wan. Now, the whole stretch may not be entirely waterfront. Now, but we have the Marine Museum there, and we're going to make use of that so you can actually enter into the museum and the existing slopes to link up to the Hang Fa Chun area. Now, just this morning I was there in the Museum of Coastal Defense and War of Resistance. Now, we are discussing this with the LCSD to see how we can open up such a route so the public would know that maybe on a certain day that road would be closed and they can avoid that particular day. Okay, second round questions. Mr. Andrew Lam, 4 minutes, please. Well, similar to the question raised by the Chair and Sari Lee, now very often it involves ownership and the right to use the promenade. Now, in the Yau Tong industrial area, now if memory serves, that has been rezoned for 10 years. Now, I don't like to see another wait up to 10 plus years. Is there any plan by the government? Now, this is a comprehensive development area, and in theory, the government can can do land resumption. Now, this is just an example. Now, can the government think of more active plans, especially schemes that would involve taking up private sector land? Now, another point raised by the chairman earlier. Now, the linking up work. Okay, we understand a lot has been done, but very often the focus has been on recreation. But we mustn't neglect the historical background of the harbour. It has a lot to do with our development. Now, in different countries, now we see how buildings are renewed or regenerated. Now, I hope the government can pay attention to this area. Ms. Ho, please. Now, thank you, Mr. Lam, for your point. Now, about how we do more integration of coastal activities and also the sense of history, as you said. This is certainly something we will take on board. Now, on the Yau Tong industrial area, now, in doing the outline zoning, the government has rezoned places as a comprehensive development area. Some has been turned into residential area. And this is a successful case regarding the Yau Tong industrial area. We see new residential tenement blocks there, and some have already been occupied already. And we had another successful case just very recently. So we are seeing transformation. Now, well, can we do more? Now, for the comprehensive development areas, we do have hurdles and difficulties to overcome. But we are trying to chop up the development area to more manageable sizes. And this is something that we do as an ongoing exercise. And the next time we do that, we will certainly look at the Yau Tong industrial area, what is still left to be done. And next we have Doreen Kong, please. Thank you for following up on my point about the cultural and history side of the harbour, because even along the shoreline we have a lot of history. Now, I certainly hope that this can be promoted. Now, we know we have a very good and unique beauty. That's our harbour, right? But in developing this, we want to have a certain taste and not just a foul smell of the seawater. Now, in Paris, for example, if you do a cruise in Paris, people will introduce by saying that, okay, there was a huge fire certain years ago, and then you introduce history along the way. Can we do something similar for tourists? Now, let's say you go past Yaomate, then maybe you can show a certain picture. In distant past, Yaomate looked like that, and if you get to Shenyang and it looked like that many years ago, and so people would know more about Hong Kong's history.
Or you can tell people that there are seafood, dry seafood shops there, and then after they've landed, they can buy dried seafood. So I think we can do better in terms of interpretation. Another part is about the night vibes at Kennedy Town. I went there too, but you did not promote the event enough. For someone who doesn't live in Kennedy Town, I found it difficult to find the place. So I hope you can improve the signage in future. And the part is Staff Ferry. You did say that Staff Ferry in Tsim Sha Tsui hasn't been fully utilized. The same can be said for the Staff Ferry Pier in Central. You have some retail outlets on the upper story, but there is still room for you to occupy. So you must fully utilize the site. Another part is about the cement plant. You said that by means of reclamation, you can have connectivity. This is not a desirable choice. It should only be the last resort. If we haven't consulted or negotiated with the landowner yet, I think you are being too passive, or you are not being active enough. Saudi Arabia, for instance, has removed Yamaya cement plant that was established in 1961, but successfully has been recently relocated. I think the government should be more proactive. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Kong, for your views on how we can use our harbor to let tourists know about the history of Hong Kong and to learn about our past. Yes, we will see whether that can be done. And you talked about the activity held at Belcher's Bay, and that we should improve the signage in future. That you have a point. I don't know whether you went there by MTR. Indeed, the site was a bit far away from the MTR exit. And it's true that we should maximize the site available next to the cement plant. There is a private development taking place next to the site. Hopefully, that is for the Staff Ferry in Central. Hopefully, we can improve the vibrancy there. We can negotiate with the landowner of the cement plant. Once again, as we promised, we are going to present a detailed report to members for your information in the future. All right. That ends the Q&As. Now that Ms. Brenda Au is here, I'd like to talk about the Invigorating Island South Office. We were given a PowerPoint presentation telling us that some measures have been put in place. You might have mentioned them in the paper, but can you let the public understand more what has been achieved by the Invigorating Island South Office? Because I remember hearing comments that people did not know what the office has achieved since establishment. Over to you, Ms. Brenda Au. Thank you. We've covered different areas under ISS. We have set out in the paper what we have done to improve the harbourfront. And so in our PowerPoint presentation, we talked about the harbourfront as well as the typhoon shelter. Perhaps I'll talk about the typhoon shelter first, and if we have time, we can cover other areas. We have improvement measures and quick fix measures at the waterfront. We have done a lot outside the harbourfront as well. We have different themes in designing the two sides of the waterfront there, and we will use small minor works project and even a public works project to take forward. These are quick win measures. Members asked whether we have any cultural characteristics to be presented. Typhoon shelter used to be a fishing village. We attach a lot of importance to the fishing village culture. We use different types of funds, such as the Fund for Urban Renewal. We have also given policy support, so the funding can be available for improving the storage of dragon boats. And there is also a museum to showcase fishing village culture. There is a sustainable development fund for fisheries to subsidize the fishermen community there to organize the guided tours and visits in the fish market. We have got an item to revitalize the fish market. In fact, we are redeveloping the fish market in phases. Hopefully, we can have a complex for food and beverages. Now, we frequently patronize F&B when we visit fishermen wharves in other places. This is an important icon. There is room for utilizing this resource. So we will take up minor measures as well. On the two sides of the typhoon shelter, we have two small huts to provide information that hasn't been updated for a long time. So on Ap Lei Chau, we have three old temples, Hong Shing, Ta Wong Kong, and Shi Ling Kong. These are three temples. Will showcase the history of the three old temples. On Aberdeen side, we are going to embark on a project to collect old photos of the typhoon shelter. Hopefully, this is a community building activity. The photos will be exhibited in the pavilion on Aberdeen side. We will also expand the typhoon shelter, not just to improve or increase the number of berthing spaces. We also want to bring vibrancy to the Aberdeen waterfront, so we can cater for the berthing needs of vessels. And as mentioned by the Commissioner, we want to open up the breakwater there. It will be wider and longer than the breakwater on the East Coast Park. Thank you. We want ISS to invigorate the Island South, the Southern District. Hopefully, you can come up with some representative projects, and you should publicize such projects widely so that people know that the what the ISSO has achieved since its establishment. Otherwise, people will ask, what has the office done so far? In fact, a lot, but you should ensure synergy for the quick win measures to make people feel that indeed Island South has been invigorated. Hopefully they can feel the progress or the achievement of your work. Mr. Tan Kampiu, second round, 4 minutes, please. Thank you, Chair. I'm still on East Kowloon. Of course, various works is still going on in the area. It is a quality area. We have the Kai Tak runway and Chakwa Lane. We want to use market forces to build the waterfront at Yau Tong, and there should be connectivity with Lei Yun Mun. Hopefully, this grand plan can be completed by 2030. If the target date is not correct, I stand to be corrected by the administration. Along the waterfront promenade, there are many points worth discussing. For tourism and economic activities, East Kowloon has a huge potential. We have the sports park. We have the waterfront promenade at Chakwa Lane. If we alter for marina as well, that will make the place so attractive, because we also have the Lei Yun Mun. We will have the All China Games in 2025, and therefore we must complete the infrastructure there. I don't know how to call the green and sustainable transport link for Kwun Tong. We used to call it a monorail. I don't know what to call the system now. In the mainland, they have viaduct railway. The system should not be just for transport. Rather, it should be able to attract outsiders for a ride because of its unique feature. So I hope you can have a system linking up the old runway with Outao Kok. If you do it, you can promote tourism so that infrastructure can cover the whole area. I'd like to have a response from the administration. Another point is some members mentioned the cement plant. As the local council member for Kowloon East, of course, I have to comment on this. The government and the EPD has done its utmost. It has issued an injunction, and there are also lawsuits. I'd like to know, assuming that the government wins in all these bids, will the cement plant stop operation, or will it continue to operate even though it is willing to pay a fine? So can you stop the operation of the plant, or will the plant be relocated? I know that the current operator is the landowner. Yau Tong residents are very concerned about this matter. It seems that the government can do nothing about the operation. I'd like to know whether you can terminate the operation of the plant forever. I think this is different from Green Island. I think Mr. Tan is talking about another cement plant in Yau Tong. Yes, it's a headache. Indeed, the Environment and Ecology Bureau are pursuing the matter. It's the government's objective to suspend or terminate the operation of the cement plant. And the Bureau is considering what is the most effective measure to achieve this target. It doesn't rule out taking further action. All right, no other questions?
Okay, we finished the questioning time. And we wrap up this particular agenda item, and we thank the government officials for attending the meeting. And AOB, now please note that our next meeting time would be held at 10:45 on the 30th of January 2024 to discuss the operation and management style of the promenade. And this was discussed or raised earlier, and next time we will be able to have a more in-depth discussion. And we will have more time to have a detailed sharing. And of course, the questions raised earlier, we asked for additional information. Please can we have those information before the next meeting. Now, if members have no other items, I declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you.